How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to go through more tips for PvM, ones that you may not have known, things that I've tried to think about that are a little bit more uncommon, things that you probably haven't heard about just yet. And if it's going to help out any people at all, then you know what, this video has done its purpose. I hope you find it interesting. I hope there's some stuff in here that you didn't know. If there is anything that you didn't know, let me know in the comments. But at the same time, if you knew everything in here, get in the comments as well and share some other ones, because I'm sure if you are someone that knew all of these, then you likely know pretty much like a hell of a lot more tips that could be shared as well. Anyway, guys, if you enjoy the video, leave a like on it, subscribe to the channel if you're new. What the hell, less than 40-second intro, let's go. Okay, so the first tip that I do have for you is that you can actually release Detonate while on magic with an auto attack to increase your damage, but at the same time you can release it with another ability too. This is really useful in certain situations, as you can release Detonate, which is a massive AoE, with things like Dragon Breath or Tsunami, which will allow you to clear big massive mobs in places like elite dungeons. At the same time, you can increase your damage a hell of a lot and release big massive hits if you release it with something like Wild Magic or maybe even a Gothic Staff spec. This is something that you definitely want to know when you're using magic, as it will be a massive useful thing to do, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do it nice and easy. So you'll notice that on my keybinds, I have my Detonate set to Shift W, and then next to that I have Shift A, Shift 8, and Shift R, all set to abilities that I just mentioned: Dragon Breath, Tsunami, and Wild Magic. I also have Shift Q somewhere, I can't find it right now, but there we go, it's right there, Shift Q, which is my Essence of Finality keybind. But this means that I can now release that with Shift E as my water spell for ice, meaning I can just roll my fingers across those keys nice and easy to release a Detonate looking like this. You can see there was 4 hits there. 1 was the Detonate, 2 hits from Wild Magic, and 1 hit from the auto attack. That is big, massive damage, and it is super useful in certain situations. Like I said, you can also release this with a Tsunami to be able to clear out big groups of mobs in elite dungeons. Next up is something that kind of bugged me a lot, especially at Telos. As you are phasing at Telos, if you use ability queuing, you actually can't take away the ability queue. That is the ability that's going to be used first as soon as you land on the next platform. However, this can be an issue sometimes as you're pushing in rages, things like that, as you do want to cast autos, or you do want to use a stun first, for example, and you can't use that because it's forcing you to use something else. All you need to do for this is load your action bar again. As soon as you load that action bar again, it will clear the ability queuing for you, and you'll be absolutely fine. You can use abilities however you want. This is a really fast tip, but it's something that helped me out a hell of a lot, as there were so many streaks lost entering into something like Phase 4 in Telos with a stupid ability queued by accident, and I didn't know how to clear it, and I just couldn't use the right stuff at the right time. It just wasn't good. So knowing this is absolutely a lifesaver for me. Alright, so the next tip that I have for you is you can actually bladed dive and surge at the same time to go around objects and turn corners. This is super useful for getting around places like elite dungeons and speeding up your runs through that, and a lot of other situations as well. Also, it's a hell of a lot of fun. So what I'm going to do here at this cabbage field, what the hell is this? I don't know what this is. I really don't know. But we're going to use this as an example. I'm going to bladed dive and surge over to here, all at the same time. It's super useful to know, and the way it works is you will cast Bladed Dive where you want to end up, and then you will hit Surge as soon as you've casted Bladed Dive, like immediately. So as soon as you hit that click button to cast your Bladed Dive, you want to hit Surge, and you'll end up doing something like this. As you can see, you will go forward in your surge, and then you will Bladed Dive directly where you want it to go. The reason being is you don't have to actually face the direction that you want to go to be able to Bladed Dive. For example, you can just face the other way and Bladed Dive the other way. Wherever your mouse clicks is where your character will go towards. Then you can actually queue the surge ability, and as that is available first, you will actually use the surge first and then Bladed Dive to the destination that you want it to go to. Alright, so our next tip actually brings us to the Arglacior, and this is obviously a boss that a lot of you guys are going to be doing, so hopefully this tip will be quite useful to allow you. What you can do here is, if you are on magic or you are on melee, so you're not using range, you can still use your SGB every 30 seconds. Now you may be thinking, how is that possible, considering you would need to use the ingenuity of the humans normally? Well, in this boss, because your accuracy is so high, you don't need to use it, you just don't need to. So what you can do is, let me just make sure he's not going to use his arms mechanic, because if he does, that would not be very convenient, which he is not going to, so that's fine. We're just going to chuck on our weaving crossbow here, and then we're just going to use our attack. And you'll see that the attack still hits and we still have Ingenuity Humans available. Now, it can miss, it is possible for it to miss, but the way the SGB spec works is if you do miss, if it doesn't actually apply to the target, it does not go on cooldown. So you can cast it again if need be. It will cost you adrenaline, but it is definitely worth using this spec here every chance that you've got. Of course, when you do have Ingenuity of the Humans available, I would recommend that you do just use it anyway. There's no reason not to. But when that is on cooldown, when the SGB spec is available again, you definitely can just use it whenever you want to use it. Like I said, it will miss, but 9 times out of 10, it will hit. Okay, so our next tip is that you actually should know that when you're in Sunshine or when you're in Death Swiftness, you do not actually stack the damage bonus with the Maniacal or Reckless Aura. They don't stack at all unless you are on the very last second of your Sunshine or Death Swiftness. So keeping in mind that you can stack it with the very last tick is something that you should definitely know about. You can throw out some insane damage combos by waiting for the last tick and releasing some big damage hits for that time. For example, on range with Death Swiftness on the last tick, you probably want to use something like Snapshot, but on magic, using something like Detonate and a Gothic Staff can give you some insane damage hits, as you just saw. Next up is a planted feet switch tip. You can actually place the planted feet gizmo on an enhanced Excalibur. Most of you guys will have an enhanced Excalibur with you in your presets because it gives free healing. Everybody brings this, it's super useful, and it's definitely something you should have with you if you don't already. But you can add a gizmo to this. I don't have it on mine, but you can actually add a gizmo to this to use for your planted feet. Now, you would want to do this because it can save an inventory slot. However, there is an issue when doing this that is actually going to cause you to run into melee distance whenever you want to cast your Sunshine. So if you are using any attacks whatsoever, and then you wield your Enhanced Excalibur, your character is going to run into melee distance, even if he's just still going to cast out like any basics or anything like that. So even if you're using magic, I will still have to be in melee distance to use any of my basic abilities, or any abilities whatsoever for that matter. That being said, all you need to do for planted feet is to cast the ability and then move on from that. So let's build our adrenaline up to 100%. What you can do is you can start casting any abilities like you normally would, build up your adrenaline, and then just before you do cast it, you can use Cease, equip your thing, use Sunshine, and then change back to your weapon. That way you can do this quickly, you can keybind that so you can do it nice and fast. You can use your Enhanced Excalibur as your planted feet switch, and it just means you do not have to run into melee distance as well. And it can also free up an inventory space for you as well. Personally, I don't do this myself, but it is definitely an option you can do, and it's something that I have considered in the past. I just haven't even gotten around to trying it yet. But you would need an extra keybind, so it's completely up to you. On magic, I have my planted feet switch on my wand anyway, so it doesn't make too much of a difference for me. But if you're looking for absolute best in slot, this is definitely something you can do. This next tip isn't one that you would use during a boss fight or anything like that, but it's very convenient for you PVMers that are constantly doing this. So at World's Retreat, you're going to want to fill up your Ripper Demon with Ripper Scrolls, right? Normally you'll be up here and there's loads of the people around, and you're stood here clicking on your scrolls and then looking for your pet in the big crowd of like other people's pets, and everyone has the same one and you're looking for that and you're like, oh, which one's mine? The easiest way to do this is actually just click this scroll button here. If you have scrolls in your inventory and you click this, it will automatically pass them to your familiar. So as you can see now, I have 349 scrolls in there, and you can also right click this to take them all out and then just click it again to put them all back in. So it's nice and easy. You can just load your preset, click on that scroll, and you're good to go. The next tip is for you guys that actually struggle when using things like bladed dive switches and you want to make your life a little bit easier. You think, I've got like 3 things to keybind there and I've got to press them all and then I've got to go straight back to use my other weapon. How the hell can I possibly do this in a better way? So the way I do this, and something that is very useful to do, is set them up in a way that makes life a hell of a lot easier. Put them all together, put them all in a row, so your finger literally just rolls across it, similar to with the Detonate thing that I mentioned earlier. But my bladed dive, as you can see, is set to K for the main hand, L for the Enhanced Excalibur, which is the offhand, and then the semicolon, which is up here, and that is right next to the L button. So when I want to bladed dive, all I do is move my hand to K, L, and semicolon, and then it's nice and easy. Just roll the fingers, click the mouse, and we're good to go. And then if you want to change back, I just have it set to Alt-1, that's what I'm used to, and I can get back to that nice and quick. So that makes my life a hell of a lot easier when I'm doing that. I can be running around, just roll my fingers over, do that, change back to my staff, and we're good to go. Now, this makes switching like to bladed dive and stuff like that a hell of a lot easier, but you can also do it for other stuff as well. if you have a greater ricochet ability and you want to use chroming 4, you can have that set up so that you're changing it from alt 7 and then using number 7 straight away for the greater ricochet, and it makes your life a lot easier because all you have to do is press alt, press number 7, let go of alt and press number 7 again. Nice and easy. Definitely a tip that you should definitely take on board. Next up is making sure you realize there's other abilities and other things in the game that you can buy that's going to help you out a hell of a lot. For example, at the moment I currently have the Undead Slayer and the Dragon Slayer abilities. These are absolutely amazing. They are quite expensive off the Grand Exchange, but they give you a 15% increase in damage to the respective things. So if you are using the Dragon Slayer ability, you will hit 15% harder against dragons. If you're using it against Undead Slayer and using the Undead Slayer basic ability, you will get a 15% increased damage against those as well. It is important to keep in mind that this is not used on the global cooldown. If you use an ability, you can use this at the exact same time and it can be used anytime you want. It doesn't interrupt your attacks, it doesn't interrupt your rotation or anything like that. At the same time, the same goes for things like Ingenuity of the Humans. This is off global cooldown as well and will guarantee your next hit. Also, Limitless is another great ability that you definitely want to be getting at some point. This will make sure that you will be able to use your thresholds before 50% adrenaline. You can use it as soon as you hit 15%. If you use 15% adrenaline, which I'll try and get towards now, if I have 18%, I will use shift 1, which is my keybind for that, and now I can use asphyxiate because I don't have to have 50% adrenaline, just the actual amount of it costs to spend the ability. So it costs 15% to spend a threshold, so all you need is 15%. These are really useful abilities, and if you're looking to increase your DPS or just to improve your gameplay a little bit better without having to put a lot of time and effort into, buying these can definitely be an upgrade to do, but keep in mind they are off global cooldown. You can use them whenever you want, and these are absolutely amazing. Things like the Undead Slayer ability can make you do insane damage at places like Taraket, and obviously Dragon Slayer basic ability. This is insane in the ED2. The whole way through ED2, it works on every single boss. Definitely worth getting if you do ED2. Alright, so our final tip that I have for you guys is actually not magic based. Who would have guessed? This is actually for range. Did you know that the dart animation applies damage faster than using anything else? So darts have a faster attack animation, which means the damage does apply sooner as well, by 1 tick. It doesn't sound like much, but basically, if you are chasing after personal records at bosses, these are super useful for you to have. All you have to do is actually have these as a keepsake. That's all you need to do. Get one of the main hand, one of the offhand, save it as a keepsake, and you can use that to get yourself faster kills at bosses. Have you ever wondered why you see people walking around with range and their main hand and offhand is set to using just dragon darts? It's because it makes their attack animation a bit faster than if they use crossbows or anything else. So this is definitely something to keep in mind. It does make you faster when you're going through personal records and stuff, but again, it's nothing that is really all that important. I'm not saying if you use range, you should definitely have to do this. This is for you guys that just want to get the best personal records that you can, because this is just something that is like a little bit of information that you may not have known about. Alright, so that does bring us to the end of the video. I hope that those tips have helped you out. I hope there's been some things in here that you have not necessarily been like, that's like the best tip ever, but maybe some of you guys have looked at it and gone, that solved my problem. For example, the one with stopping the ability queuing when you're in phases and stuff, that was something that when I figured that out, I was like, holy hell, that's made my life so much better when I do Telos now. So hopefully there's something like that in this. That's what the goal of this video was for. Hopefully it has helped. If it has, then leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new, of course. Anyone who thinks of anything else, thinks of any other ideas, get in the comments and share them, because I know people will read through the comments just to read through those like an extra tips and stuff. So it's definitely interesting for you guys to do that. And of course, I could maybe even come back, take some of your tips and make a part 2 of this as well. If you're interested in hearing a part 2, let me know too. But otherwise, guys, thank you all so much to my channel members for the extra support. If you want to join the channel members with getting the extra support and some extra perks as well, click the join button by the sub button. You can see what perks you do get while you support the channel. Otherwise, guys, thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you all in the next one. See you later, guys. Bye.